It's December 4th, 2024, 6:12 in the morning. The Manhattan sidewalk still glittering with overnight frost. Brian Thompson, the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, steps out of a car, briefcase in hand, and bang, he's dead. One bullet. That's all it took. The brass casing spins on the concrete. Etched on the base of the cartridge case are 3 words. It was not a threat, it was a citation. Deny, defend, depose. It points directly to a book by J.M. Feynman titled Delay, Deny, Defend: Why Insurance Companies Do Not Pay Claims and What You Can Do About It. This was a book only a few outside the industry had ever heard of. This episode is not about murder or who fired the gun. This episode is about who loaded that gun, the actual culprit behind the shooting. And what will surprise you, the who is not a who. The culprit is AI. Is AI ready? I'm Bryce Barrows, and you're listening to Future Ready, the podcast about getting you ready for the transformation that AI is bringing to your job and career. Hi, the above shooting was for real. I didn't make it up. But this is what happens when we let software steer the stuff of life and death. This was not a murder. It was a targeted assassination. What am I talking about? Well, let's first start by meeting the victim. Though some of you already have heard of him, Brian Thompson ran the biggest health insurer in the United States. 1 in every 8 medical claims in America touched his company servers. Last year, those servers saved UnitedHealth $1.2 billion. How? By flagging shorter hospital stays, denying rehab, and overruling human doctors. There was a 911 call, and within minutes, the NYPD sealed off 56th and Park. They found the casing, they read the words, and they asked the question we're still asking today. Can code have a motive? Why a murder and why AI? The accused shooter, Luigi Mangione, was arrested 5 days later at McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Found on him was a 3D printed ghost gun, a suppressor, fraudulent identification, and a handwritten manifesto expressing intense ill towards corporate America. The manifesto depicted a deep-seated anger at a corporate system that felt untouchable. Was this the motive? Remember the bullet casing with the words, deny, defend, depose. So let's rewind, not to the murder, but to the milliseconds that may have motivated it. I want to ask you something before we continue. Have you ever had a health insurance claim denied? Maybe you appealed it. Maybe you paid out of your pocket because you didn't want the hassle. Maybe you just let it go because the system felt too designed to exhaust you into giving up. If that has happened to you or to someone you love, I want you to stay very close to what I am about to share with you today, because it turns out the experience was not just frustrating. There may not have been a human behind the rejection of your claims. The story that I started with has been building up for the last 2 years, and that I think every professional needs to know, and not only know what it tells us about AI, about accountability, and about what happens when a machine is left to make life and death decisions and then walk away. The company at the center of our story is UnitedHealthcare Group, the largest health insurer in the United States, a company that covers over 53 million Americans, and the AI system they built to process claims was according to a federal lawsuit that is very much alive today in court, denying medically necessary care to elderly patients at a 90% error rate. That means 9 out of every 10 cases were denied. Let that number sink in for a second before we go on. Today's episode is going to touch on this and see if AI is actually ready for the hard stuff, the decisions that carry real weight, real consequences. And when the answer is no, who pays the price? Does anyone pay the price? Is it an executive who takes ownership, or does it all end up with murder? The story. What United Health have actually been doing. United Health Group, through its subsidiary Navi Health, built and deployed an AI tool called NH-Predict. The stated purpose of the tool was simple: to help estimate how much post-acute care a patient would need after a hospital stay. What is post-acute care? It is the care needed for rehabilitation. This includes rehab facilities, skilled nursing, and home healthcare. This is the kind of recovery care that is needed between the hospital and getting back to your normal life. On paper, this sounds like a reasonable application for technology. Take thousands of records, identify patterns, estimate recovery timelines, and then help the system move faster. Free up clinical staff, make the process more efficient. It all sounds good until it was put into practice. According to a class action lawsuit filed in the federal court, United Health did not use NH-Predict as a guide. They used it as a gatekeeper, the system that was judge, jury, and executioner to all the claims. The lawsuit alleges that company employees were pressured to keep patient stays within 1% of the algorithm's predictions. 1%. Think about it. The discretion of a human case manager, the clinical judgment of an actual doctor was not taken into consideration. Instead, it was subordinated to what a statistical model calculated as the expected recovery time for a patient's profile. A US Senate investigation found that United Health's denial rate for post-hospital care more than doubled between 2020 and 2022. Denial rates doubled in 2 years. But then comes the question, why? Could it be a coincidence? Well, that is the timeline when NH-Predict, the AI model, was being rolled out and scaled. But you see, there is a human cost involved that people are not talking about. No one will take this seriously, and that is why I want to put names to this. I'm going to talk about two cases. Gene Loken was 91 years old. In May 2022, he fell in his home and broke his leg and ankle. He required hospital care, followed by physical therapy to regain strength and balance. His physical therapist documented his condition as paralyzed and weak. His care team said he needed more time. The algorithm disagreed. Coverage was cut off after less than 3 weeks. His family continued his treatment, paying between $12,000 and $14,000 a month out of pocket for a year. Let that sink in. $12,000 to $14,000 per month. Gene Loken eventually died in July 2023 at the treatment facility. Then there was Dale Tetzloff, 74 years old. He suffered a stroke in October 2022. His doctors recommended transfer to a rehabilitation facility for at least 100 days of physical and occupational therapy. Guess what the algorithm said? The algorithm initially wanted to end coverage after only 20 days. His family appealed. They got another 20 days. Coverage ended eventually after those 20 days were over. His family spent over $70,000 on his care over the following 10 months, all out of pocket. Dale eventually died. 2 men, both elderly, someone's father, someone's grandfather. Both had their doctors overruled by a piece of software. Both their families had to take a cost that insurance should have covered, but didn't. And those are just 2 cases. 2 cases we know by name because their families had the resources and the courage and the will to fight back in court. Interestingly, a Senate report estimates United Health was processing millions of Medicare Advantage claims through their system, Only about 2 to 3% of people who were denied even appealed, meaning they went back to the company wanting an explanation and a chance to increase the coverage time. The company, according to the lawsuit, was banking on appeals being low. Most people do not fight back. Most people end up paying out of their pockets, or they go without the care their doctors had ordered. Unfortunately, we never hear their names. This is being done by multi-million-dollar companies. When the murder of a health insurance CEO produces this kind of public response, you are looking at a system that has so thoroughly lost the trust of the people it is supposed to serve that they felt that the company's entire existence was adversarial to them. That does not happen overnight. That is the result of years of people being denied care, fighting bureaucratic systems designed to outlast them, and a feeling like the human in the room had already lost to the algorithms before the conversation even started. Why this keeps happening? AI without accountability is a loaded gun. Here is what I wanted you to understand about the United Health situation, because I think it is tempting to treat it as a healthcare industry story. It is not. It is a pattern that is playing out across multiple industries, and the professionals in this audience are either going to be on the receiving end of it or in a position to do something about it. The pattern goes like this. A company identifies a high-cost process. It deploys AI to automate that process and reduce costs. The AI produces outputs at scale. Humans are technically still in the loop reviewing the AI's recommendations, but the volume is so high, the pressure to hit targets is so strong, and the outputs are so authoritative looking that the human review becomes a formality, just a rubber stamp. And when the machine gets it wrong at scale, the damage is catastrophic. Not because AI is malicious, it's because AI optimizes for whatever objective it is given. And the objective United Health gave, it was for cost reduction and not patient outcomes. United Health is not alone. I want to widen the lens here because United Health is the most visible example, but it is not the only one. There are other companies that are equally at fault who have built AI systems to allow doctors to reject insurance claims in bulk, sometimes hundreds or thousands at a time. Some of these companies have rejected thousands of claims, and the average time a doctor spends reviewing each claim before rejecting it is as low as 1.2 seconds. Not minutes, seconds. That is not a doctor reviewing a claim. That is a doctor clicking approve on every claim that an algorithm generates. AI screws up, and we don't realize it until it is too late. This is not only the healthcare sector. In the legal world, there has been so many cases. Multiple federal courts have now sanctioned attorneys for submitting briefs containing citations to cases that never existed. That is what is known as AI hallucinations. Complete case names, date, judgments, all fabricated, all delivered with the same confident, authoritative tone that real citations have. The lawyers trusted the outputs. They did not verify it, and in at least one case involving 30 defective citations in a single filing, the judge was not amused. Different industries, different stakes, but the exact same failure. Failure because of the architecture. AI operating with insufficient human oversight, producing confident outputs that were wrong, and humans were either too overwhelmed or too pressured or too trusting to even catch it on time. So here is the question that sits at the heart of all of this, and I want to ask it plainly because I think it is the most important question in the AI conversation right now. What is this question? When AI makes a decision that costs someone their health, their freedom, or their life, who is responsible? Is it the company that built the algorithm? Is it the executive who deployed it, the employees who were pressured into following it? Who is responsible for this? Right now, there is no clean answer. And that ambiguity is not accidental. It is one of the things that makes AI deployment so attractive to organizations that want the efficiency gains without the accountability exposure. You can always point at the algorithm, always blame the AI. You see, the algorithm has no face, no conscience, and no liability. However, United Health's lawsuit is one of the first major attempts to pierce that veil. The federal court has already ruled the case can proceed on breach of contract and breach of good faith grounds. The outcome of this litigation is going to set a precedent for how AI accountability works in consequential domains. And every organization currently deploying AI in the ways that affect people's lives is watching it very, very carefully. Why is this actually good news for your career? This all leads me to a shocking comment by OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. OpenAI is the makers of ChatGPT. I want to bring this up because it connects directly to the fear many professionals have about AI and their careers, and about whether AI is really ready to take over. Altman has suggested that his own successor at the company might one day be AI. Not a human, an AI running one of the most consequential technology organizations on this planet. He has also talked about a future where billion-dollar companies will operate with 2 or 3 human staff working alongside AI systems. And look, I understand the intellectual argument for it. Just imagine an AI leader with no ego, no fatigue, no bad days, no cognitive bias, processing data at machine speeds, modeling every strategic scenario, executing with perfect logical consistency. On paper, it sounds amazing, it sounds formidable, but here is the question. The United Health story forces us to ask about the vision. What happens when the AI CEO's cost optimization objectives conflicts with the well-being of the people the organization is supposed to serve? What happens when efficiency and ethics point in different directions? A human CEO, whatever their flaws, can be held accountable. They can feel the moral weight of a decision. They can walk into a room full of people whose care has been cut off and look them in the eye. They can be shamed, sued, fired, or prosecuted. And sometimes, just sometimes, that possibility of accountability is the thing that keeps the worst decisions from being made in the first place. And AI has none of that. And the United Health story is what happens when the human around the AI abdicate their responsibility to provide it. Let me be very direct about something, because I think this is the core message I want you to walk away with today. AI is extraordinary at pattern recognition, at speed, at synthesis, at generating options and outputs faster than any human team can. I use it every single day, and it makes me sharper and more productive. I genuinely believe in its potential, but there are things that AI cannot do, and they are not small things. They are the things that define what good leadership, good governance, and good professional practice actually looks like. AI cannot feel the weight of a decision. It cannot look at a 91-year-old man with a broken leg and see his doctor's notes. It cannot be afraid of getting it wrong in the way a good professional is afraid of getting it wrong. And the fear that professionals weigh is not a weakness. It is the mechanism that produces due diligence. The professionals who are going to thrive in the next decade are not the ones who fight AI. They are not the ones who pretend that AI does not exist. They are the ones who understand what it can and cannot do. They are the ones who will use it where it adds genuine value and who provide the oversight, judgment, and accountability that AI cannot provide for itself. The United Health story may be a year or so old. AI has not stopped improving. It is learning and improving. And from what we are hearing in 2026, AI is starting to show more judgment and decision-making capabilities. Is it at a human level? No. But the question is, will it fake it until it makes it in the future? You see, only time will tell. Should we trust them with the big things? I don't think so. And that is why I brought it up in today's podcast episode. In fact, all that is happening is an eye-opener for what is to come and how we adapt to it. I remember while growing up, there was this cartoon I used to watch called The Centurions. Maybe some of you would remember it. It was about 3 men and a dog who were part of a special military unit that would end up becoming part human and part machine. They would adapt using an exoskeleton frame that would fit different types of weapons on each of them so that they would get these fancy assault weapons to fight the bad guys. They ended up becoming what we call a cyborg, part man, part machine. I remember their famous line when these machines would suit up on them was man and machine, power extreme. I think the way forward for all of us to survive the onslaught of AI is to become like the Centurions, man and machine, power extreme. You see, we need AI. And AI needs us. We complement each other. What we need to learn is to use AI in a clever way and for you to become the boss of it. It technically is a win-win for you and the organization. Companies have seen the warning signs of what happens when organizations remove the human component to provide that irreplaceable professional judgment. So at this point in time, early Q2 2026, I feel that this harmony of you and AI is the perfect way to move forward. The shift from knower to learner to judge. Now, here is the next evolution of that frame. The most valuable professionals in the AI era are not just learners, they are judges, not judges in the legal sense. I mean people who can receive an AI output, interrogate it, weigh it against their domain expertise and their ethical instincts, and then make that judgment call. A real call with real accountability attached to it. You see, this is a skill. It is a learnable skill. And right now, it is one of the scarcest and most valuable skills in the market. The framework. Becoming an AI oversight leader. The 4 capacities that make you irreplaceable. Okay, so let me give you the practical framework. And I think it is one of the highest value professional positions that you can occupy in the next 3 to 5 years. It is not about being technical. It is about having the professional depth and judgment to sit between what AI recommends and what actually gets executed, and to own that gap with full accountability. Now, how can you do this? Number 1, interrogation skills. The ability to probe an AI output rather than accept it. Where did this data come from? How current is it? What is the model optimizing for? What would change the recommendations? In the case of the rejected claims, the human reviewing its outputs should have been asking this question: is this aligned what we have actually promised our customers? They were not focusing on the customer. Another thing that they should have asked: is this correct? Asking that question is not technical expertise, it is professional diligence, and it is a skill that can be developed. AI messes up, and we need to have the authority to point it out. Imagine when it becomes a matter of life and death. Number 2, domain authority. Your years of experience in your field is not a liability in the age of AI. They are your most powerful asset. Deep domain knowledge is what lets you look at an AI recommendation and know in your gut that something is off. In the case of UnitedHealth, the doctors knew the algorithm was wrong. They even put it in writing. The system unfortunately overruled them anyway. Number 3, ethical grounding. The capacity to ask not just will this work, but should we be doing this? This is the ethical moral ground. AI optimizes for the objective it is given. It has no values. The people deploying it must provide those values. UnitedHealth gave NH predict a cost reduction objective. Nobody in a position of authority appears to have asked whether a 90% error rate on life-affecting decisions was ethically acceptable. That question has to come from a human, not a machine. Number 4, accountability ownership. Now, this is the big one. When something goes wrong in an AI-assisted process, there will always be pressure to blame the algorithm. The professionals who will be trusted and genuinely valued are the ones who say, I was responsible for overseeing this process and I own the outcome. That kind of ownership is rare. It is uncomfortable, and it is exactly what organizations will need as they face the legal and regulatory consequences of AI failures at scale. Here is how to build this profile starting now. Just 3 moves. You can start this week. First, identify where AI is making consequential recommendations in your current organization or sector. Not just where it is being used, but where its outputs are affecting real outcomes for real people. This is where the oversight gap lives. That is where your value proposition sits. Second, develop a point of view on AI governance in your specific domain. What are the failure modes? What are the guardrails that do not exist but should? Write down a 600-word LinkedIn article with a specific grounded perspective from someone with real domain experience will land differently than anything a junior analyst can produce. It is because you have the credibility to back you up. The third one, put yourself in the rooms where AI governance decisions are being made. Volunteer for the implementation working group. Raise your hand for the ethics review committee. These are the rooms where influence is being built right now, and the people who show up with genuine judgment and domain expertise and authority are going to have an outsized impact on how their organizations navigate this. So here's the bigger picture. Let me zoom out for a minute before we close. The United Health story, the lawyers submitting fake court cases, and the AI CEO conversation. These are not isolated incidents. They are early data points in a pattern that is going to define the next decade of professional life. AI is being deployed in consequential context faster than governance frameworks, legal accountability structures, and human oversight capacity can keep up. And in every case where that gap causes serious harm, the question that gets asked afterwards is always the same. Where were the humans who should have caught this? Right now, in most organizations, those humans either do not exist or are too overwhelmed to function, or have been systematically pressured out of the process by the same efficiency imperative that drove the AI deployment in the first place. Filling that gap is not a technology problem. It is a human leadership problem, and it is the most important professional opportunity of this moment. Sam Altman himself said a couple of years ago that AI will not replace humans, but humans who use AI will replace those who don't. I believe in his statement. Well, at least for the next couple of years. But I would also like to add more to what he said. You see, AI will not replace humans, but humans who use AI will replace those who don't. The humans who will truly lead the AI era are not just the ones who use the tools. They are the ones who govern them, who own the decisions that come out of them, who have the judgment and the courage to say, when it matters most, the machine got it wrong. I'm not signing off on this. That is not a job description for a technologist. That is a job description for an experienced professional with real domain expertise, real ethical grounding, and the confidence to act on their judgment, even when a very sophisticated algorithm disagrees. That job description is yours for the taking. So let me bring this home, my friend. United Health got into trouble because it trusted an AI judgment call. It was wrong. That did not happen because AI was evil. It happened because an organization deployed a powerful tool, pointed it at a cost reduction objective, and systematically removed the human judgment that was supposed to stand between the algorithm and the people that it was supposed to help. The humans who were left in the process were given no real authority to deviate from the machine. They just became rubber stamps. And the machine got it 90% of the time wrong. You see, AI is not coming for your job. Well, at least not for the moment, and not the jobs that matter most. The jobs that matter most are the jobs that require judgment, ethical grounding, domain expertise, and the courage to own an outcome that is still very much yours. In fact, as we watch in real time, these jobs are becoming more critical with every AI failure that makes the news. Know your value, deepen your judgment, stay in the process, and never let the speed of the machine replace the quality of your thinking and your work. That is what being future ready looks like. If today's episode gave you something to think about, I would love for you to share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you have not already, and if you are serious about building your future ready strategy, come and find me at brycebarrows.com and set up a free one-on-one session to see if your job is in jeopardy with the changes that AI is bringing. Do this as soon as you can, or you will end up like a friend of mine who just lost their job. Had she spoken to me just a couple of months or two earlier, I could have guided her to pivot and may have helped her retain her job. Please don't wait, because at the pace things are changing, you could lose your job at any time. So go to brycebarrows.com and set up your free one-on-one with me or someone from my team. Just remember, it's a free session that could help you strategize for your future role. So that's it from me. The new episode will be coming on April 14, 2026. We are currently recording a crucial guide on how the Middle East conflict could impact your career and the exact strategies you need to stay ahead. So until next time, the future belongs to those who are ready. Go be unstoppable. Thank you.